This is a Lego Star Wars MOC. I call it the tank wing. A little backstory behind it is that when the original B-wing, that was, I guess it was a prototype, that was designed by Corey in Star Wars Rebels, when it made an appearance in the Rebel fleet piloted by Harrison Dula, it inspired a lot of Rebels and a lot of Rebel shipbuilders to start thinking a little out of the box and create some more unorthodox and unique designs to best combat the Empire. And this is one of those designs. This is a one-of-a-kind hunk of junk that was built by a Rebel shipbuilder. And I'm just getting a full view of it. The ship was built for this pilot, who's a Rebel pilot who flew with the rebellion against the Empire. And some of the features of this ship is, first off, if it's inspired by the B-wing, it has to have some fold-out wings. So the wings here actually fold out from this end. And this is another reason why it could be called the T-wing, because it kind of looks like a T. We'll turn it around here. So this is kind of, this is very sturdy and stable and can be swooshed with relative ease. Kind of a better view of this, of these wings being popped out here. The wings were designed for stabilization and maneuverability rather than having weapons on the end of them like the B-wing. And it needs to be stable and maneuverable because this is kind of an unwieldy ship. It has these 3 heavy cannons. And Davy Jones would be very proud of these triple guns. But these 3 heavy cannons are used for assault of capital ships. The top 2 are pretty much mirrored. The side ones, very different, but they work together to fire and attack capital ships. These 2 can be actually turned around if needed. Also, there's this secondary weapons package with a few small missiles and this pair of light blaster cannons. And this would be used to defend itself against attacking ships, while these guys are used for, against capital ships. So I'll turn this around and talk about the engines a little bit. So these are the main thrusters here. This massive side booster is for further stabilization and thrust, as this is a rather unwieldy ship. I wanted to design this, at least this top wing, to kind of blend in, and you know, if you're just flying it, you may not notice that this wing pops out, but it does pop out like that. This one pops under like that. Closer view of that. This front part of the thruster was very fun to build. Simple technique, but I think it looks pretty cool. Also, behind this secondary weapons package, there's a few stabilizing thrusters to further help pilot this unwieldy craft. So we'll take a look at the cockpit now. So there's a hatch for the minifigure to get in, but then there's a hatch for us humans to get in. There's a few levers, computer screen, some dials, and then the red you can kind of see would be the screen, kind of the readout of the battlefield that our minifigure would see. And in order to convince our minifigure to fly this craft, this kind of experimental, slightly dangerous craft, you wanted a little bit of insurance. So in case of major damage to this ship, the cockpit was actually an ejectable pod. The way you open this up is you just open up this front, and then this whole entire cockpit just pulls out nice and smoothly. So it's kind of empty. And this kind of deploying this door and having something pop out was also reminiscent of some, like the World War II Normandy landing craft, which I guess weren't tanks, but kind of looks similar to tanks. And there's a pair of missiles on the edge, so when this opens up, before this pod deploys, the missiles would fire out and try to clear any debris or craft in the way for this pod to shoot out. There's a few lights on the pod, and if we open up a couple panels back here, we'll see some rations and a pair of pistols as well. There's also, these thrusters back here to help boost this pod away from the battle scene if it gets damaged and needs to be deployed. So we'll stick this guy back here. So when I was first designing this, I called it the tank wing, and that's because I wanted to make something that kind of looked like a tank, not an actual tank with treads, but I had all of these dark tan jumper plates, and I created them in this way that they kind of look like tank treads. They obviously don't move, but they are reminiscent of tank treads. So I built this whole fuselage first. I decided I wanted to do something asymmetric, so I looked at the B-wing, kind of got inspired from that, and then I just went from there. It was a pretty fun build to do. Lots of greebling, and kind of looks junky, and I think it fits decently well in the Rebel fleet. Just one last look of the tank wing. And yeah, that's it.